It's time to ask Big Daddy once again about real estate. Our real estate expert Bryan Garrity joins us here from the Garrity Group today. Bryan, there's an app for that. Has become like the catchphrase these days. Is it true in real estate?
It absolutely is true in real estate.
There's an app for everything?
Yes, there is.
Should we be
Bryan
using
Garrity.
them?
No, well, okay, so let's talk about the apps. There's a million of them that are out there. Okay, so there's the big 5 or 4, like Realtor.com, Zillow, Julia, those ones that you see that are very prominent. And then there's a bunch of offshoots of those, like hot pads. There's just a ton of stuff out there that can be used for real estate.
Okay, now I just out of curiosity, I've gone on before and just like plugged in my address to see what they have to say.
Correct.
I didn't agree with what they had to say, but are they right or am I right?
No, you're probably right, or somewhere in the middle. So the thing is, you've got to remember it's a computer that's providing the data. And the real theme of this segment is there's no substitute for having a qualified agent representing you.
There are too many variables, really.
There are way too many variables.
I imagine if they came up with the perfect app, they could plug in most of them, perhaps, but there's there's intangibles that you can't right now do in an app.
Right. The biggest offender, if you go on Zillow, you'll see what's called a Zestimate, and it will give you like either a range or what your property is supposedly worth.
Right.
Then you'll have the client come in to meet with you, and the client will be like, well, look, here on Zillow it says my house is worth $1 million. Well, your $1 million house is situated between condos, townhouses, and maybe you're in a townhouse, and then there are $1 million houses behind it, and it just does not take into account all the kind of specific demographics for your particular house.
I've got a very specific situation as well, in that we built our home, but we built it right next to a subdivision.
Perfect.
And then open space around us.
Right.
And then these big, huge, much bigger than ours, custom homes right next door. There's no way that I can get comparables through any kind of a service that don't have to be interpreted by somebody.
No. And like we would do for anybody a free home analysis, a comparative market analysis, where we take into account the schools, what's going on with your house, what condition your house is in. Computer can't do that. Computer cannot do that. It can only take the data that's available basically on public records. It's not looking at your house. It's not looking at what you've done to your house. It's just giving you basically an estimate. And 9 times out of 10, it's wrong. So for somebody to rely on that, it really starts the conversation off a lot of times not contentious.
Do you find that these websites, and again, in this case, we're just talking about how much your house is worth, but they purport to offer a lot more information than that. Do you find that they tend to estimate the value of the house as higher than you would or lower than you would, or there's just no telling?
Both.
Okay.
Both. And yes, in this case we're talking about how much value is one of them. But then there's also, you go on and look, I'll get calls on houses that maybe I sold a year and a half ago, and they'll say, hi, I'm calling about XYZ address, and I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, that house is sold. But they found it on one of these hot pads or other, and I'm not singling them out, but they're just one of many that are out there that don't update the information. And the MLS, that's the proprietary system that all the local boards use. That's where the realtors enter all the information about your house, and then it's supposed to, the IDX exchange, whatever that techie stuff is, it's supposed to filter out and give these websites the information. Well, for whatever reason, a lot of times it doesn't get updated. You, on Trulia, for example, as an agent, you could go in and update your listings. There's just too many variables, too many possibilities for mistake, and it's very misleading to people who want to sell their house, are thinking about selling their house, think they can do it on their own. Stop. You can go on those websites and maybe get an idea of what's going on in your neighborhood. I don't care what filters they have. I don't care what they use. I just think that those apps are exactly that. They're an app. They're a tool. They're not something to rely on in terms of going to sell your house or for people buying.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of times you'll see stuff that's on there and it's not even available. Now, 90% of buyers start their search online. What's the best thing that you could do? Go to BryanGarrity.com.
Okay.
No, or you could, no, but you could, or another real estate website. All of those websites are up to date. Everything's coming from MLS. Same thing with the apps. The apps don't stay as up to date. There's a lot of contention between National Association of Realtors, California Association of Realtors. A lot of the old dogs aren't having it.
Right.
They're very angry that these websites exist. It's back to the day when the MLS didn't even exist. It was when they used to update the cards in a card file system. Can't even imagine how they did that.
Well, folks, if you want a personal contact, if you want a real human being, and you want somebody that will shoot straight with you, that knows the business, has a legal background and a financial background to draw on in all this process, talk to Bryan Garrity. And is that actually your website, BryanGarrity.com?
It is. And it's got a lot of stuff that you can do. You can set up your own search, and it's tied right to the MLS.
Very good.
It's a really good tool. But those apps are making me mad.
Okay, well,
make me mad.
Don't make him mad.
No, make me happy.
For more information, you go to SanDiego6.com, you click on San Diego Living, and you make him happy by giving Bryan Garrity a call.
And I can continue to love on everyone.
There you go.
There you go.